This episode is often sung about highly as a timeless jewel of the Twilight Zone, being praised for its great twist ending, an unnervingly high sense of tension, clever social commentary on politics, still relevant today, and lauded as the ultimate anti-war cautionary tale for many generations. And time to piss off the fan base, I thought it was overrated.
No! No! Does not compute! Does not compute! It does not compute!
I know. Cat, you traitor? How can this punk dare hate a Twilight Zone classic? Now, don't misinterpret, I don't hate this story at all, and I do understand why some worship it. Alas, I just don't think it's one of the all-time best titles ever for the series, and do think it's more flawed than some would admit. This episode does maintain some awe-inspiring imagery and great moments here and there, but it didn't click with me like so much of this show does. But let's talk about the crazy story first. In this tale of dread, we follow a nuclear scientist named Will Sturka, who finds himself working on a surplus of nuclear weapons his government requires for vague reasons of ominousness, where he dreads that his country is eventually gearing up for a worldwide war. Sturka feels that his country is going down a dark path to the future, so he has one solution: steal a spaceship to get off his homeworld and traverse the cosmos to get a new planet.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Yes, that is the plot of this whole scary story. Sturka, his family, and friends conspire to hijack a UFO at his military workbase so they can escape an inevitable nuclear war and get a new world with blackjack and hookers. Forget the blackjack. It's so insane that I almost love it. The only reason I don't fully is that the surrounding plot doesn't do it justice. While planning and lying low for 80% of the episode, they frequently cross paths with Sturka's total narc boss, Mr. Carling, who's a government fanboy, questioning his bud's patriotic pride. Carling is played by our favorite hit-and-run child killer, Oliver from U-Drive, and I won't deny, he is the best part of this whole episode. The narc boss Carling is not quite creepy, but there's something so skin-crawling about his performance that I legit think he's a solid villain because he owns every scene he's in. Narc boss basically suspects that his bro is up to no good and spies on them, acting as an obstacle in the way of the family's getaway. A lot of his lines aren't exactly subtle, but I love how sketchy this dude is, as he feels like a true menace.
You better mind what you say.
And what I think, too,
Yeah, and what you think.
The narc boss acts as the voice of his corrupt government, constantly praising his superiors as in the right for every decision, spying upon his own coworkers, and snitching like a bitch. The evil boss man is the most memorable character among a cast of bland normal guys. However, we also get to my issues. The plot implies that Sturka and his loved ones fear an approaching threat of a nuclear holocaust, and hints they live under a crushing iron fist of fascism. But one problem: we never see the fascism or war threat. I mean, never see it. The narc boss is the only bad guy in this, and you never get any proof that dark times are a-comin'. The characters constantly tell us that their government's bad and nuclear war is dead ahead, but we never see it. We never see the government acting like Big Brother, misinforming citizens, military control, or heck, even propaganda posters clearly leading the country on. In fact, we never really see the world gearing up for war. Our main character and narc boss only imply that it might happen. Nothing's concrete. It's telling you everything over showing you. It's as bad as The Legend of Korra's Book 1. Remember when the tune tells you that non-benders are being oppressed and benders are abusing power, yet we never see the bad state of the unfair system? The same applies to this episode. I don't like this because it doesn't convey the anti-war message all that well thanks to the lack of a war. And the saddest part is, this could have been easily patched. Eye of the Beholder had an oppressive regime, and while we didn't need to see the full deets, it gave you the impression that it was a cruel world, and had the not Hitler dictators reach everywhere. Third from the Sun is missing that vital piece of a serious darkness on the horizon, and it made me feel less for this episode, because I didn't understand the main character's point of view. None of the heroes have much personality, since you're supposed to see yourself in their shoes and relate to their dread of a nuclear war and escaping oppression, yet it's hard to feel for them because the only bad guy is Narc Boss. I don't remember any of these people or their names because they're all one note or forgettable. I get that some folks do relate to them because they're just an innocent family who seek to escape their country because it's growing bad, but I think it should have capitalized more on that over the rise of war since that had more relatability. There is a good story here with a family escaping a worsening country and seeking refuge somewhere safer. Yet it fails to display that or go that far with the concepts because
money!
I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wish this episode went all out on this setting and solidified their topic more strongly. There's clear vision here, but it was handled by superior stories. However, I will confess that the production is no slouch, and there's some truly great suspense, on par with Hitchcock in some scenes. I adore the visuals and camera work in this, as it does make the episode look gorgeous, and adds an uneasiness to things in order to hype up the fear the heroes undergo. And like I said, Narc Boss adds a ton of flair to every scene he's in. My favorite part is when the family is drawing their escape plans, only for Narc Boss to surprise visit them, and he grabs the paper with the plans barely out of view as he banters with them. He's so intimidating that you never know if he actually sees the plans drawn on the opposite side or not. Carling is the sole character who fuels all nightmares in this, and his actor does a fantastic job at being this sneaky weasel.
Next week we'll give you another chance.
Next week, you do plan ahead. You plan way ahead.
A week?
A lot can happen in a week. A lot can happen in 48 hours.
The plot's fairly simple. Most of this is Sturka complaining about this unseen awful government, blatant allusions to the Cold War tension since everyone is living in fright, the family and friends planning their Hogan's Heroes escape, and Narc Boss almost catching those whippersnappers before we finally get to the big final act. It's another mega dialogue heavy episode with little in terms of action, so it didn't win me over when scenes dragged. Eventually, Sturka receives official orders to return to his station, where he and the fam sneak out to steal that spaceship before they notice his absence. But, haha, Narc Boss ambushes them with a gun, revealing that he knew everything. It's almost a perfect scary scene, but it's ruined when they easily beat him up. Oh yeah, maybe one gunman all alone without backup, and an MIB pistol wasn't enough to stop rebels. Dumb! And the fam very easily hijack the UFO and get the hell out of Dodge. But we get our twist ending. It turns out that they escaped their doomed planet, only to get to another bad planet.
It's the third planet from the sun, Bill. It's called Earth.
That's right, our heroes are aliens, and they escaped their war-torn world only to land in the safety of our world, which we all know has no problems whatsoever. I will admit, there were a ton of clever hints scattered all throughout the tale to make this twist work. The alien world never says who they're at war with, implying they have a Star Wars. They have weird tech not common to us, they all have odd last names, and of course the UFO is a common design for their flight vessels. It was all a decent story, which built up to our iconic twist, that they're aliens hoping to seek refuge in an ironically troubled world not so different from theirs. I think what made this episode for fans is the twist. It is a memorable moment in horror history, and made this show famous for its clever, thought-provoking concepts. The ending is great, however, I'm super mixed on the rest of the episode it comes attached to. Without that ending, I believe this one would have faded away into obscurity. Maybe if I grew up during the era or in a seriously troubled time, I might value it as a profound cautionary tale, but I just couldn't get into it all that much. The episode is very slow. The dread of war and fascism needed to be more present. The heroes are all forgettable. The effects are sadly dated. A rad villain gets nerfed, and I think the message loses its punch. I grant this trip a silver skull. I don't find it unwatchable or horrid, yet I believe it misses as much as it hits, and feels overhyped compared to other titles. I would actually recommend seeing it still, since you may love it more than I, but I'll warn you not to get your hopes up high. Third from the sun is a small shining star that's eclipsed by massive giants rotating next to it.
Clear as a bell, nothing but stars. You ever think, Sturka, that there may be people on those stars, too?
The Twilight Zone.